Brothers and sisters, I address you today with a sense of great urgency. The times we are experiencing are extremely serious, and we must not allow indifference or deception to obscure our understanding of what lies ahead. This period calls for deep spiritual preparation and unwavering vigilance. We cannot ignore the signs that are already visible, nor should we be misled by outward appearances. The message I bring is grave, and now more than ever, we need to be ready in both body and spirit for whatever the future may hold. We are living in a world where false agreements of peace seem to dominate. Many believe we have finally achieved calm and lasting stability. Yet, we must remember the prophetic words of St. Paul, who warned that just when there is talk of peace and security, disaster will suddenly and unexpectedly come upon all humanity. We should not be deceived by what seems to be a time of peace, for it is precisely then that calamity may strike without warning. As the Apostle has taught us, today I share a divine revelation received through Saint Michael the Archangel, a message that speaks of a catastrophic event beginning at dawn in Europe and spreading across the world. This revelation is not a random occurrence. It is an urgent call for us to be prepared, to recognize the signs, and to act with wisdom and faith. Saint Michael has made it clear that although darkness threatens humanity, those who remain steadfast in their faith and trust in divine protection will find the refuge they need. It is our duty as people of God to be attentive to this heavenly warning. I invite you to stay with me throughout this message and listen carefully, as it contains guidance on how to prepare for what is to come. The revelation from Saint Michael the Archangel is a call to action. What we are witnessing is not a coincidence or a mere accident. It is the fulfillment of prophecies that have unfolded before our eyes, even if many choose not to acknowledge them. The Apostle Saint Paul left us a clear warning regarding peace and security. At the very moment these are proclaimed, destruction will be unleashed upon the world. In this era of complacency and false promises of peace, we must remain especially alert, for disaster is imminent. Saint Paul's words are more than advice. They are a divine warning urging us to act. We cannot let a false sense of security lull us into complacency, nor can we allow ourselves to be misled by the appearance of superficial peace. This is not a period for celebration, as some might think, but a time for preparation and readiness. While the world carries on as if nothing is amiss, darkness is already drawing near, and we must be watchful. In this context, the revelation from Saint Michael the Archangel stands as an urgent warning. Through this message, we are shown the beginning of a calamity that will erupt in Europe at dawn, an event destined to alter the course of humanity. This is not an isolated occurrence. Its effects will reach everyone. The devastation will not be gradual or distant, but immediate, impacting nations and peoples everywhere. It is not something that can be avoided, but rather a fate that has been foretold. Yet there is hope. Even in the midst of darkness, divine protection has already been promised. It is vital to understand that humanity's downfall is not accidental, but a consequence of turning away from God and ignoring His will. Still, the message from Saint Michael is not only one of warning, but also of hope. Despite what may come, we know that even if destruction is foretold, divine protection is available to us. Heaven has prepared a refuge for the faithful, for those who keep their faith strong even in the darkest times. This is why we must be prepared, not just physically but spiritually. True protection is found through faith. Saint Michael the Archangel not only warns us of what is coming, but also invites us to strengthen our faith and seek divine protection. Real security is not found in the empty promises of worldly peace, but in the intervention of the divine, which assures us that even as the world suffers, those who are steadfast in faith will receive God's protection. Let us not waste time. Now is the moment to strengthen our faith, to pray without ceasing, and to prepare for what lies ahead. We cannot afford to ignore the signs or allow ourselves to be distracted by the world. The coming calamity is a result of sin and a lack of faith, but the solution remains within our reach. Through unwavering faith in God and the intercession of the Virgin Mary, we can find protection. This is a moment for trust, not for fear. Let us place our confidence in the assurances of God, who has promised not to permit His creation to perish without His intercession. While we are aware of the approaching catastrophe, we also recognize that a heavenly sanctuary is nearer than we imagine. Our faith serves as our shield, and through it we will find safety. With this knowledge, we must proceed with prayer and get ready for the future. Since we now grasp the scale of the forthcoming events and the critical need for readiness, we must explore more deeply what will genuinely provide the strength to endure the period of trial, faith, and heavenly protection. The next part of this message will examine how faith, combined with God's action, is our sole path to deliverance. As we continue, let us ready our hearts to accept the divine grace that will enable us to withstand the coming worldly afflictions. My friends, as the world teeters on the edge of a chasm, we need to recall that while disaster draws near, our faith will be our most powerful asset. Genuine safety is not derived from human power or earthly endeavors. It flows from God, who has pledged to remain with us always. During this shadowy period, as nature becomes chaotic and celestial signs grow clearer, our faith is what will anchor us. The deliverance we hope for is not a hollow assurance or a vague expectation. It is a divine guarantee from the Creator of the cosmos. To accept it, however, requires an unwavering faith that does not yield to hardship. We must have complete confidence that God's boundless mercy will shield us. This confidence cannot be founded on worldly perceptions, but on the solid conviction that God governs all events. This is a pivotal time, where each one of us must choose to place our complete trust in Him. Faith is more than just believing in statements. It involves surrendering our entire existence to the divine plan. God has assured us that those who place their trust in Him and seek His safeguarding will not be forsaken. Deliverance will be achieved through His direct action, an action that only hearts full of faith can embrace. This is no time for uncertainty or apprehension. It is the moment to elevate our faith, acknowledging that our one true safety lies in divine protection. Across the ages, humanity has repeatedly succumbed to the lure of turning from God, trying to find safety in its own power and abilities. Now, as humankind confronts its most severe trials, the time has come to turn back to God. In spite of our defiance and our wrongdoings, His compassion is still offered to everyone who repents and comes to Him with genuine sincerity. God does not forsake His followers. Amid the gloom of hardship, He acts in mighty and mysterious ways, establishing peace where turmoil reigned and shielding His loyal ones. Even in trying circumstances, when malevolent forces appear to be winning, God's help is assured for those who hold firmly to their faith. The protection of God may not be physically visible, but it is as tangible as the very air around us. It is in the hardest of times, when dark powers threaten to overcome us, that His compassion is revealed most intensely. The records of history are filled with instances of divine action, of times when God's followers were delivered by His grace. In this current period of testing, it will be the same. God's action will be our deliverance, and those who seek shelter in Him will be saved. Nothing is capable of overcoming divine might, and God's compassion surpasses any hardship we may encounter. Indeed, the times ahead will be challenging, the world will be unsettled, and a shadow will fall over many lands. However, if we maintain a solid faith and rely completely on divine safeguarding, we will be navigated through the tempest. God's compassion is eternal, and He consistently responds to the pleas of those who approach Him with humility. Regardless of the scale of the obstacle or the intensity of the trials before us, the protection from God will be more powerful. The Creator of all that exists, both seen and unseen, is our sanctuary. If we ask for His protection with true faith, He will not abandon us. When darkness looms, our faith will serve as our guiding light. Even if our surroundings fall into ruin, those who have sought shelter under divine care will remain secure. Faith is not merely a conviction, it is an expression of profound trust in the might and benevolence of God. In this period of crisis, that trust will be our ultimate shield. The moment has come to fortify our faith and cling to the hope that God provides. Divine action is imminent, but we must be ready to accept it with receptive hearts and a readiness to align with His purpose. Let us hold fast to our faith, for our deliverance can only be achieved through divine action. My friends, what we are currently observing is more than just climate change or a singular natural event. What is unfolding is a deep disturbance of our world, driven by powers that exceed our human comprehension. The very core of the earth is undergoing a transformation, affected by cosmic influences from the sun, the moon, and other heavenly bodies that are disrupting long-standing equilibriums. This celestial impact is not just a chance event. It is an element of a divine design that is now becoming apparent to us. The planet's core has started to warm without restraint, and this warmth is moving up to the crust. The movements of celestial bodies are impacting the steadiness of the Earth's surface. This gradual but continuous change is pushing the planet toward a condition of unmatched instability. The tectonic plates are moving, volcanoes are becoming active, and weather patterns are growing more severe, as though the Earth is responding to the cosmic shifts occurring throughout the universe. The events we observe now, such as earthquakes, volcanic activity, the melting of ice caps, and widespread floods, are merely the initial indications of a more profound worldwide change. The planet is undergoing a purification process, cleansing itself of the remnants of a society that has disregarded the divine will. Accompanying this worldwide transformation are the indicators of a coming catastrophe. The rise in volcanic activity elevates the danger of large-scale population movements and interrupts air travel, thereby affecting international commerce and communication across continents. The sky, once calm and predictable, has become an arena of unmanageable powers, leaving humanity feeling helpless before the scale of these events. Each eruption, each tremor, and each shift in the climate serves as a reminder that we are in a period of reckoning. Beyond these natural calamities, we are witnessing the swift proliferation of new illnesses, many of which stem from the misapplication of science or the misuse of technology. These pandemics are not simple occurrences. They represent a world undergoing purification and a human race that, in its unawareness, is drifting farther from God. These sicknesses, which often change and evolve in unforeseen ways, persistently challenge our fortitude, both physically and spiritually. What is most concerning in all of this is that even with these transformations and alerts, humanity continues to grasp at worldly enjoyments, the ceaseless chase for immediate satisfaction, and rampant self-interest. We have deviated so greatly from divine principles that we are now unable to see the unmistakable signs of our era. Rather than interpreting the surrounding turmoil as a summons from God, we persist in disregarding the communications He conveys through the natural world. Humankind, through its negligence and self-centeredness, has become oblivious to the truth. We have turned away from God's purpose and are now confronting the repercussions of our apathy. The period of unknowing is over. These calamities are the direct outcome of our separation from the divine. The planet itself is calling for us to go back to a state of compliance with God's will. We need to realize that each natural occurrence presents a chance to come back to Him, to express remorse, and to ask for His compassion. These happenings ought to be viewed not as penalties, but as divine chances for us to change our ways. Should we persist in overlooking these signs, the disasters will grow in severity and number until humanity acknowledges that the sole method to pass this trial is to return to God with faith and adherence to His plan. As we confront this global change and the developing calamities, it is crucial to keep in mind that faith is our only safeguard. God has given His word that those who place their trust in Him will experience His intervention. Regardless of the gravity of the obstacles, His compassion will be our deliverance. As we confront the dreadful events taking place around us, one of the most significant struggles we encounter is the inner conflict that each person experiences between faith and logic. When humanity is met with a world that is becoming more and more disorderly, it is instinctual for our minds to seek out rational explanations. We must, however, exercise caution, for the human ego, the shadowy adversary residing within us, is the source of this rift between faith and reason. Divine safeguarding is accessible to individuals who request His aid with contrite hearts and steadfast belief. The ego, with its unquenchable need for control and comprehension, fosters doubt about the divine and the forces that lie beyond our human grasp. It pressures us to accept that everything must have a logical explanation, and that only what is tangible and verifiable can be considered real. This is the profound deception that distances us from our faith. If we permit the ego to guide our thinking, we will start to view faith as something archaic and irrational. This, however, is simply a trap. Faith does not stand in opposition to reason. On the contrary, it elevates and directs it toward a more profound grasp of reality. Genuine reason, or divine reason, is not constrained by the limits of the human mind. It is intertwined with the eternal wisdom of God, which is beyond all understanding. When we attempt to separate our faith from our reason, we fall into a state of deep spiritual confusion. The ego generates doubts, questions things it cannot comprehend, and pulls us away from the truth that can only be accessed through steadfast faith. Faith and reason are not in conflict. In truth, they are meant to exist together, each one complementing the other, guiding us toward the fullness of divine truth. God gave humanity reason, but He also gave us faith. We cannot possess one without the other. Faith leads us when reason feels inadequate in the face of the incomprehensible. And reason, when illuminated by faith, allows us to recognize God's hand in the mysteries that surround us. The ego, however, attempts to drive these two forces apart, leading us toward bewilderment and disillusionment. We must remember that true faith does not dismiss reason. Instead, it refines and points it toward a higher divine calling. As we encounter the natural calamities and cosmic shifts occurring on our planet, it is vital to see that these events are not accidental. The Earth is being transformed, but not by mere chance. The earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and shifts in climate are clear demonstrations of a divine will. While our rational minds may try to explain them from a scientific standpoint, we should remember that behind these phenomena is the hand of God, showing His power over all of creation. These natural disasters are not a matter of chance or the simple workings of nature. They are, at their core, a reflection of divine authority. The sun, the moon, and other celestial bodies, along with the earth itself, are all subject to this divine will. Everything in the cosmos is held in a delicate balance that corresponds to God's greater design. The natural events we are witnessing, while they may seem chaotic and destructive, are part of a divine plan that is much larger than our limited minds can grasp. Every earthquake, every eruption, and every change in the climate is a summons from God, a reminder that He has absolute control over everything that exists. They are not simply accidents or disasters. They are a testament to divine sovereignty over all of creation. Through these events, God demonstrates His power. He is above all that we know. Creation itself moves according to His will, and what may appear to us as a disaster is, in reality, part of a divine purification process. The changes happening to the earth and the instability of its elements remind us of human vulnerability and the grandeur of God's creation. If we allow our ego to mislead us, we might think these events are uncontrollable and that humanity is at the mercy of arbitrary forces. But if we look at them with the eyes of faith, we will see that every event is a sign of a divine purpose, a step toward fulfilling God's plan for the world. It is critical that we understand this, because by doing so, we can face the times ahead with a stronger faith, without succumbing to the confusion that the ego tries to instill in our hearts. Faith will enable us to see beyond the surface, past the scientific explanations, and will allow us to comprehend that these events are divine signals. Reason and faith complement one another, and together they will guide us through the challenges to come. Amid these global transformations, we must remember that God's promises are unwavering. Despite the uncertainty and the disasters around us, divine protection is still available to those who remain steadfast in their faith. The renewal of humanity is near, and those who have prepared themselves through faith and have sought divine protection will be saved. God's intervention is the solution to the calamity we face, and in His promise we can find hope. Now is the moment to welcome divine mercy by preparing ourselves spiritually for what is to come. In the midst of the turbulence that is shaking our existence, it is essential to remember that even though these times are dark, God's commitments are unbreakable. No power, no disaster, and no catastrophic event can undermine the certainty of what He has promised. In every person's life, there are moments of trial, times when darkness seems to cover everything, but even in those moments, God remains true to His word. The trials we endure are not a sign of divine abandonment, but rather an opportunity to witness God's protective hand at work in the middle of chaos. God's intervention is not a random event, nor does it rely on our ability to understand His methods. His love and protection are greater than our human limitations, and He will always fulfill what He has promised. If He has stated that He will protect the faithful, then we can be certain that His promise will be kept. Even if all appears lost, even if the forces of nature unleash their power and the entire world is shaken, the faithfulness of the divine will not falter. In the most profound darkness, at the moment when human hope seems to fade, God reveals Himself most powerfully, bringing order where there was once only turmoil and shining a light where shadows seemed to dominate. It is crucial for us to grasp that God's promises are more than mere words. They represent an everlasting pact that cannot be annulled. Throughout the course of history, we have witnessed the constancy of His mercy and the way He has stepped in to rescue His people during their most dire circumstances. The seriousness of the situation we are in does not change this reality. The God who brought forth the heavens and the earth has not changed. His strength and grace surpass any ordeal we might encounter. Despite the gravity of what is to come, we must approach the future with hope. We understand that periods of purification and testing are ahead, but we also know that God has readied a sanctuary for us, a divine shield that will guide us toward salvation. God's compassion has not been exhausted, and in His boundless goodness, He has pledged to renew humanity following a period of affliction. Even if the world lies in ruins, those who hold fast to their faith will be witnesses to His restorative power. The restoration of humanity involves more than just a return to a physical or material condition. It is a spiritual renewal. In His infinite wisdom, God has set aside a time for His people to get ready for what is on the horizon. This period, which prophecy identifies as 42 days, will be our final chance to cleanse ourselves, grow in spirituality, and draw near to Him with sincere hearts. These will be days of focused preparation, unceasing prayer, and deep contemplation of our connection with God. This 42-day span is not merely a grace period for us to endure the coming trials. It is a divinely appointed time to fortify our faith and bring our spiritual lives into alignment before God's protection becomes a complete and tangible reality. During these days, we will be prompted to rediscover the meaning of living in accordance with God's will, to cast aside what creates distance from Him, and to cling to the hope that after this cleansing, we will be made whole again. Humanity is being given one last opportunity to develop spiritually, to become a people of faith, ready for the events that are to come. This is the moment for repentance, for seeking God with every part of our being, and for preparing to receive His intervention. Even as the world around us seems to disintegrate, God has offered this time for each of us to cultivate our faith, mature in spirit, and be solidified in the certainty of His promise. It is a period of grace, a time to be fully conscious of God's presence in our lives and to confirm that we are on the correct path. The renewal that is coming is not solely physical, but also spiritual. It is a profound restoration that will deliver peace and calm to the hearts of those who have been unwavering in their faith. In those 42 days, we will be asked to make choices that will shape the path of our eternal existence. It is a time that we must not treat casually, as it represents our final chance to be thoroughly prepared to accept God's protection. Let us not be afraid, for divine intervention is drawing close. The renewal of our humanity will commence when we turn back to Him with revitalized faith and pure hearts, ready to embrace His will completely. The days to come will be a time of purification, but also one of immense hope. Those who pursue God's grace during this 42-day period will undergo a transformation that only He can bring about. A transformation leading to a future of peace, security, and deliverance. Now that we understand that hope in divine promises is our firm foundation, we must also remember that God's protection is not only a spiritual sanctuary but also a physical one, something we can access through the intercession of the Virgin Mary. While we prepare ourselves spiritually for what is ahead, we must also accept the divine grace extended to us through the Mother of God, who possesses the power to heal and restore. Through her intercession, the Virgin Mary will lead us toward the complete renewal of both body and soul. As we delve into the nature of divine restoration, we must acknowledge that the Virgin Mary, our Mother in Heaven, is not just our spiritual advocate but also a mighty healer. In periods of suffering and hopelessness, when physical and spiritual ailments feel overwhelming, she offers herself as a secure harbor, a mother who eases the pains of her children. It is not only our souls that are in need of mending in these challenging times, but also our bodies, which bear the marks of sin and worldly corruption. At this pivotal moment, we must appeal to her intervention with absolute trust, knowing she has the power to mend all that has been broken. Spiritual healing through daily prayer is another divine instrument that we must use with conviction. Modern scientific research indicates that regular prayer, particularly prayer directed to the Virgin Mary, has a significant positive effect on our physical and spiritual well-being. Science is starting to confirm what faith has long held to be true. Prayer possesses the ability to heal. Marian prayer, specifically, has been observed to lower stress, enhance mental wellness, and boost the immune system, thereby shielding us not just from bodily illnesses but also from weakening spiritual afflictions. The profound impact of daily prayer is now recognized not only by people of faith but also by scientific research, which has shown that a spiritual connection with Mary can bring comfort to the soul and tangible benefits to physical health. Prayer to Mary is more than a devotional routine. It is a powerful way to restore both body and spirit. Through this spiritual bond, Mary intercedes for us, presenting our prayers before God. This practice offers consolation and also strengthens our faith, equipping us to face adversity with renewed assurance. When we pray to Mary, we participate in the mystery of the Trinity, and her intercession serves as a channel for healing, bringing about changes in our lives that go beyond what science can fully explain. The advantages of Marian prayer are evident. It brings inner peace and also enhances physical and mental well-being. Scientific studies have found that regular heartfelt prayer can lower stress, stabilize blood pressure, and strengthen the immune system, supporting both physical and spiritual health. This is not just an act of devotion. It is a vital response to the urgent need for healing in these troubled times. For this reason, daily prayer should be more than a habit. It should be a lifeline, a conscious act of connection with God and Mary. This daily commitment will fortify our faith, provide protection against future hardships, and bring restoration to body and soul. The intercession of the Virgin Mary is a divine blessing to be embraced with gratitude, knowing that through her our spiritual and physical health can be renewed. As we answer the urgent call to prayer and consecration, we must remember that these acts of faith not only prepare us for coming trials but also unite us with a divine power beyond compare. By remaining steadfast in faith and dedicating ourselves to Mary, we will find the protection needed to face tribulation. Our response to this call is crucial for receiving the full restoration God promises, and it is through these acts of faith that we will discover peace and security amid the world's chaos. The current moment is one of deep anguish, and each of us has a responsibility that cannot be ignored. The message shared is not just for our own reassurance, but must be spread to others. It is urgent to prepare our loved ones for the challenges ahead. We cannot wait for others to act. As faithful servants, it is our mission to share this revelation and bring hope to those still in darkness. Now is the time to be messengers of hope and divine protection, which is found only in unwavering faith. Let us remember we are not alone in this journey. In the midst of trials, divine protection is promised to all who keep their faith. Saint Michael the Archangel stands with us in spiritual battle, and the Virgin Mary intercedes, guiding us toward salvation. The promises of Christ remain unshakable. Those who trust in His mercy and cling to His word will find refuge. Faith assures us that God is with us, that He will not abandon us in our darkest moments, but will lead us toward redemption. This is the time to reaffirm our faith and hold fast, no matter the storms around us. Prayer must be our constant refuge, the place where we find the strength to face whatever lies ahead. We must not give in to despair or doubt, but remain courageous, trusting in God, and bearing witness to His power as we prepare for the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. This triumph marks not only the end of an age but the beginning of a new era of peace and divine justice. Therefore I urge you, keep your faith, pray without ceasing, and prepare for what is to come. Salvation is within reach for those who follow the path of faith, prayer, and consecration to God and Mary. Let us join together in prayer, seeking the protection of Saint Michael the Archangel and the intercession of the Virgin Mary, trusting that divine mercy will guide and shelter us in these times. May prayer strengthen us, and may the peace of Christ reign in every heart. Interests.spiritual_preparation. For Interests.Catholicism.